Good morning, Tuesdays, man. All the way, George Page coming to you live on YouTube. Well, this some next sad news we had. This was announced yesterday. We had a passing of a legend, and this man was one of the greatest sports legends, especially the sport of baseball. He's up there with Willie Mays Hayes, um, Jackie Robinson, Sancho Page, just the list gone on and on of black men in the sport of baseball in the early years, especially in days where it's hard for a black man to get to succeed in the sport because of the racism in the sport. As you know, many sports in that time where it was hard for blacks to succeed because of systemic racism. But his fight against that racism and his success of it, in the sport of baseball has been legend for many years. One Mr. Henry Louis Aaron, better known as Hank Aaron or Hammer and Hank Aaron or just Hammer, has passed away yesterday at age 86. And this is just some sad news. When I was young, I used to be a baseball fan as a kid, but puberty hit, and what I got into by the time I hit puberty, so I'm not gonna go into details. But Mr. Aaron was a legend. He broke one of the biggest records in baseball that was set by Babe Ruth back in 1974. Now I was born in '74, but I was born in November. This was in April when he beat the record. And he played for the Braves when they were back in Milwaukee to all the way to when we were in when he played for Atlanta, and that's for at least over 20 some years. From 54 to 76, and he has so many records. I mean, set and broke so many records. And he played number 44 for so many years, and not just played for just for the Braves. He played for the Brewers. He played for both for Atlanta and Milwaukee, and he has just a legend. Um, he was born in Mobile, Alabama, back in February the 5th of 1934, and that was, as you know, the Jim Crow era around the Great Depression, as you know, and that was a hard time for a lot of black people. And imagine it was hard for white people trying to survive during those times, but imagine how it was for black people, and that's just as hard. Now, when he was younger, he got into baseball, and he also had a brother, Tommy, and him and his brother Tommy played in minor leagues. They even both together played in the pros. But they played in Negro League for a time. But around about 54, they recruited into to play for the Milwaukee Braves. Now, during that time, he had gains. He was an MVP, Golden Glove winner 3 times, and he's been in several World Series and had a high RBI rating. And that's pretty good. Yeah, that's amazing. And he just set so many records. And he also, like I said, he broke barriers being a black man. In the sport of baseball. You know, and he was just an amazing athlete, amazing player. He was a National League most valuable player. Several times over, and he had a run average of he just was consecutively hit average from 3,000 to 700 hits to runs to 2,174 runs. He was only 4 players to have that at least in 17 seasons with 150 to 150 or more hits. And other than I think he just I think he was in the record books. He had so many records in the books. He surpassed so many others. You know, and when the Braves moved from Milwaukee to Atlanta, he was still playing with them, and that was I think they made the move right about in the I think about the 60s. A lot of back then I think about the mid 60s, early 70s. A lot of teams were making that move. Remember the Dodgers were originally in Brooklyn, so they moved to LA, and it was just that was the thing because a lot of owners wanted to go to a place where it was like, the market was a little cheaper, and because the cost of living was a little better for them, because I think a lot of cities were offering more money for them. And then in '74, he was about to beat the record that was set by the late Babe Ruth, which was I think Babe Ruth's record was 705 or something home runs in a season, and he was going to beat it. But the problem was white people did not like the idea of this black man beating his record, so he got calls and threats against his life. I mean, it was just awful. And you're thinking this was like '74. You're thinking by then, race relations were a little better, but you still wasn't. You got to think about it. It was just maybe 6 years after the death of Martin Luther King, and maybe barely 20 years after Brown versus the Board of Education. So you still think about it, even though. And I remember he was getting an interview when he hit that home run with running bases. Two white guys came up behind him and pat him on the back. He was wondering, he thought they would be assassins. But like I said, that was good that some people, these young guys, I mean, who congratulated him on his success. And after time, it just tell you that there's crossing barriers. I mean, and it's a record that stood for a long time. You know, After a while, he did go back to Milwaukee and he played for the Brewers for a time. And then later on, he went back to the Braves and played for a little bit till he retired in '76. And then around that time, he got into the Hall of Fame, and he was one of the second person other than Ty Cobb. And I heard a story about Ty Cobb. I heard that he was a SOB from what I heard, but him, Ty Cobb, had been, I think, two people who got the most numbers to get into the Baseball Hall of Fame, and and that was pretty good, especially for a black man, and I think the racists didn't like that he, came second to somebody like Ty Cobb, you know. And then in '78, he even went to the White House, and he met the then president at that time, Jimmy Carter. And sometime after a while, he became a general manager, and he also worked in the front office for the Atlanta Braves, for a while. And in the '90s, he got inducted into the Hall of Fame, you know, and also into the Wisconsin's Hall of Fame. You know, that's pretty good. Just for all his work and and his averages and his records. I mean, and he was an outfielder for a long time, and he was an influencer to a lot of baseball players. Like you got here A-Rod and David Ortiz, and a lot of guys just admired him and just how much a legend he was. And I remember years ago there was a story. I remember watching a movie where Tiger Woods, about Tiger Woods, and Tiger said that when he was young, that when he was about to go play at the Masters for the first time, and how he was getting death threats from people, especially being a black man. Well, let's remember this. He's also of Asian descent, being black and Asian descent. But we just always remember Tiger is black. That he was getting death threats by people because of him playing in the Masters, and Hank Aaron reached out to Tiger and told him about how he was getting death threats where he's going to beat Babe Ruth's record, and that was just amazing. I mean, he reached out to this young man and he saw how he was going through, and remember it was a resemblance to what his situation was, and reached out to him, and Tiger became the first black man to win the Masters and win several more during his career. And he also influenced another young man. This was a young man by the name of Stanley Burrell, who was a bat boy for the Oakland A's. And Stanley had a resemblance to Hank, and they called Stanley Hammer. So Stanley took that name and became MC Hammer. Because he looked so much like, if you looked at that picture I saw, he looked so much like Hank. You might think you might be one of Hank's kids. You never know. But you gotta think about it. You remember slavery days. We'll move around a lot. You never know. So he might be some relationship. You can never say. But about in 2002, Hank was given the Presidential Award of Freedom for his work in civil rights by then President George H. Bush. George W. Bush. No, sorry, not the dad, but the father, not the father, but the son. And that was something amazing. I mean, to be honored by a president. And in around about 2007, his record, which stood for pretty much over 30 years, was beaten by Barry Bonds. Now, there's always is that asterisk about it. How people feel like question to him because of the steroids. That was one thing that I think that turned off people a lot about baseball because of the steroids thing. But I don't ever believe that Barry Bonds or anything. If he was, he would have got caught like guys like you know um you know Sammy Sosa and who else got caught? I forgot. Oh God, I forgot his name. You know, mm, Jose Canseco. And his buddy who got busted. But Barry Bonds never got busted. And even though Aaron had some givens about Bonds, he still respect the fact that the man broke his record and Babe Ruth's record. And he was married twice. His first wife, Barbara Lucas, they were together from '54 to '71, and then him and his wife Billy were together till the day he passed away. He was also a father and a husband. It's anything. And even though he was not as active as he was, he's still a legend and still respectable man. And we're gonna, he's just it's just a sad thing to lose somebody, especially this first of the year, and so close to his birthday. He would have been 87 years old today. I mean, just a week from his 87th birthday. So we'll miss you, Hammer and Hank. You were just a legend, just somebody we're gonna respect and revere. I mean, you did so much for not just for the sport of baseball, for our community, and for the world. I mean, it's just so sad, just to lose you at this. There's no details of how he passed away. I'm not gonna say if it was coronavirus or anything. It's just I'm not gonna, maybe once they get the, everything out there, they'll say something. But right now, let's remember who he was. He was a groundbreaker. He was a legend. He was an activist. He was influencers not just in baseball, but just across the board. And you got to think about it. There's quite a few young men who were named Hank Aaron because their fathers or their grandfathers loved the name and respected the man. Rest in peace, Hammer. We're gonna miss you. This your man, all the way, George Page. Don't subscribe. I'm out.